And we're back here on Open, joined by J.C. Polanco and Lee Bynes in our second segment. And gentlemen, as we continue, we were talking first off, J.C., before we left off with Lee about the whole situation of the Comey investigation. I want to get your thoughts real quick.
Well, I think that some of the things that I think many Democrats are finding interesting is why didn't we find out about this investigation in July when it started? I think that's a very good question. I don't know why that is. We knew about the Hillary investigation. We never found out about the Trump campaign investigation. So I think a lot of Democrats are concerned about that. I think this is really significant. I really do. I think that when the FBI is investigating you for so long and investigating specific players, and then we get to see the connections and are starting to connect the dots, as you heard from my colleague a little earlier, it becomes very concerning for Republicans in very swing districts. Are they going to stick it through with this president, or are they going to start backing away from him? I think you see a lot of the backing away happening already. For example, just last week, President Trump went to Kentucky to talk about his American, Make America Great Again health plan that he's pushing. And Senator Rand Paul wasn't anywhere near him. And neither was the local congressman. Left him all by himself out there. And one of the reasons why the congressman wasn't there is because he's a Democrat. But the president was in town and everyone left him all by himself. I really think that there's something to be said about these investigations. We're going to find out more and more, and I think Americans are going to feel very uncomfortable with some of the things that they see. It could all be speculation, but as you know, when investigations happen, most of the things that we get are speculation until there's an indictment and a conviction. So you may not be convicted in the court of law, you may not even get an indictment to face the court of law, but in the court of public opinion, you're indicted and you've been convicted. And this is going to get really bad before it gets better for the president.
I want to talk a little bit more about the president and his recent comments about the Affordable Care Act. We know the president made the comments about the Affordable Care Act to GOPers allegedly behind closed doors, saying that, listen, if you don't support this, you will lose your seats in the midterm election. Agree or disagree?
You know what? I would have to disagree, and I'm going to piggyback off of what JC said because of the fact that the president is so weakened right now that a lot of people in the House that's going to vote tomorrow could feel strengthened by deciding to walk away and say, look, I'll wait until they fix this thing a little bit more. The reason why that's going to be really, really difficult is because the president needs a win, and he needs a win badly, and he needs it now. And so if this vote does not go his way tomorrow, or what's even worse is that they have to put the vote off because they don't have enough members that's going to support it, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And that could affect everything that he wants to do down the road with regards to, tax reform, getting that infrastructure package underway, all of the things that he's, so-called promised that's going to be in the works. But if he doesn't get this win tomorrow, a lot of things could change.
Let me mix a little bit on this one here. He talked about the GOP and the fact that they would lose seats during the midterm election. Now, because of the Affordable Care Act, any chance that the GOP could lose seats in the midterm election simply because of his presidency?
I think so. I think it's possible. There are 26 members of Congress in the House that are not going to support this bill. When I say members of Congress, I'm referring to Republican members. They're not going to support this bill. Now, politics makes strange bedfellows. In that group of 26, you have hardcore conservatives that want no government intervention at all in health care. And then you have those moderates that are representing districts where there are a lot of people on the expanded Medicaid program that know that there are thousands of people that voted for them that are benefiting off Obamacare. And if they vote for this bill, they're going to be directly impacted. So when you look at who's opposing it, you're having from both sides of the ideological spectrum. Now, to your point, I think it's very possible that when a president is at 30% approval and continues to use Twitter so recklessly by accusing a former president of committing a felony and then having fellow Republicans tell him that he has to apologize. And not just me here, but we're talking about senators and congressmen are telling him, go apologize to the former president. What are you doing? I think that independent voters are leaving any support that they had for Trump behind. And I think he's playing with fire. If you look at the election in 2016 and you look at the cities of Milwaukee in Wisconsin and you look at Detroit in Michigan and Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, if turnout goes up by 0.25% in those three cities, President Trump isn't elected. He won this election because a lot of the people that the Democrats were depending on, and those 3 cities were not excited about the candidate. So you may find yourself in a position where people are going to come out more than ever against the Republican Party. And Republicans like me are concerned that if he continues to do this, we're going to lose the moderates. We're going to lose the guys like me that are in there that can work with both sides, come to some consensus. We're going to lose our seats. And we're going to lose our seats because this guy continues to just speak to his base. So it's about time that he recognizes he's president. He has to stop this. He has to now work with everyone, not just his base, so that he can bring up those approval ratings.
And on the Democratic side, what do you do now? Because you have these investigations going on. We know that there's a lot of talk in the court of public opinion is high and swirling. What do we see from Democrats now, other than just attacking the president? What are we seeing from them to also sway voters?
Personally, I think they got enough ammunition out there already in their favor. Just lay back and let it happen. With regards to the health care package that they're trying to get through right now, the Republicans are literally fighting amongst themselves. The Democrats, they don't have any power, and it's a good thing they don't, because now the Republicans are responsible for what comes out, and they're going to have to own it. Jay-Z and I had a conversation with another host a couple of weeks ago, and I think I mentioned the fact that there is no chance for them to pass an acceptable health care package for this country within the confines of capitalism. It just cannot work. There's only one solution to this problem, and that is expanding Medicare nationwide to everybody and allowing, relieving the pressure on small, medium, and large-sized businesses where they have to cover it, take it out of the tax base, and take it back there. Right now, what you're going to get, not Trump care, not Ryan care. Let me just coin this phrase right now. You're going to get fake care. That's what's coming.
I think that this bill passes tomorrow in the House.
It does?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it fails in the Senate right now. I think you're going to have Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, Susan Collins from Maine, Cotton from Arkansas. I think those senators and Rand Paul clearly are going to not allow for this bill to be passed. And I don't see how it happens because, listen, if this bill does happen, we know there are going to be at least 14 million people affected almost immediately. I don't think these politicians want to have that happen. And quite interestingly, when you poll Obamacare, you get numbers that are dismal. But when you poll the American Health Care Act, or whatever the original name for Obamacare is,
Affordable Care
the
Act.
American Affordable Care Act, then the approval ratings for the Affordable Care Act are incredible, but they're the same thing. So when you go to Kentucky and you poll, and the Affordable Care Act is at 70%, but Obamacare is in the 20s, but it's the same exact legislation. You're playing with fire with this stuff. I think that my party should really listen to former Speaker John Boehner when he says, let's just fix the problems with Obamacare. He says, I don't see how a bill is going to pass that's going to completely wreck Obamacare when 25 million people are benefiting from it. Even though there are a lot of problems with Obamacare, I think that viewers should know that Obamacare is not perfect. I think that they should know that if you're in Arizona, your premiums have gone up by 116%. You have people that can't afford just paying the deductible to when they go to the hospital. So it's really, you're talking about a program that is affecting people's lives, 25 million that now have it. There are millions of people that have lost it because they just cannot afford it. So, you know, it's not just roses with Obamacare. So we have to find a solution. It's not sustainable. The Republicans put a plan that they believe will sustain the program or a program. I don't see how it does. I don't think those tax incentives do. So I think that John Boehner is right. We need to take a look at Obamacare, look at the problems with it, and fix those problems so that we don't hurt millions of people and end up losing the House and the Senate, which would be a complete nightmare for my party.
24 million people actually stand to be affected by this. given the fact-
Negatively, yes.
Negatively
Absolutely.
impacted by this. And the question has to beg, if this goes through, you're talking about 25 million people, you're talking about those people out there, many of them are potential voters.
Yes.
Many of them are voters.
Huh?
Right, many of them are voters.
But
right.
I'm firmly in JC's camp as well. I just don't see this bill passing whatsoever. It's going to be a major loss. Whether or not it passes in the House, I'm not making any predictions on what happens in the House because with the president claiming that he's strong-arming people into doing what they need to do to get him a win. I'm not certain that enough people are frightened of him right now. I just don't see it. So it's a coin flip.
What do we expect happening over the next few days? What can we expect out of Washington in the next few days?
Well, I think the talk is going to be all about Trump care, unless he he tweets something ridiculous, or we're going to talk about how he accused someone else about something that's just not true. So I think he should really keep away from Twitter for the next few days. This is this is the major leagues. This is not little league. So he really has to allow these Congress members and senators to do what they have to do without intervening, using social media irresponsibly.
Even bringing the UK into it, saying that the UK had responsibility with the wiretapping, and then later on going on and saying we can't, we have to admit and apologizing the formal announcement to the UK. What is happening as far as foreign relations with all this happening here?
In the tank. As
He said in
opposed
the
to,
tank.
what are you going to do? The guy is going around the world pretty much insulting and all of our allies. I mean, the Brits, the Germans, the Aussies. We rely on these people a hell of a lot, both for security, information sharing, etc. So I think moving forward, once we get past this vote tomorrow, whatever it brings, we're going to go right back to the international issue, because see, Rex Tillerson, our new State Department person, in spite of Donald Trump saying that we were going to support NATO, we were behind them 100%, we know how necessary they are. Today, or yesterday, it was announced that he won't be going to that 28-member meeting. Instead, he's going to be in Russia that day. So what does that tell you?
I can't believe it's only been a couple of months. I really can't believe it. It's only been a couple of months since he became president. And it's been the storm of events, from what you were just mentioning about the insults and the not shaking the hand and yelling at foreign leaders on the phone. I've never seen anything like this. I had a feeling it was going to be like this, which is why I never supported the guy in the first place. And now I'm looking at this, and I'm just praying every day that he changes his ways. But there's a lot of time here. He has over 3 years, we're looking at 3 years and 10 months, to really cement his presidency as truly historic. There's a lot of things he can do. Listen, this Jobs Act that he's talking about can generate hundreds of thousands of jobs. If he truly cares about this insurance plan passing and protecting everyone, especially those with pre-existing conditions, he's going to go down as a superstar. I mean, there are things he can do. If we take our military and build it up to how he wants to build it up, where no one will even think about messing with us because we're back to the strength that we used to have before, I think he could go down as a historic president. But these first 2 months have been totally chaotic. I hope he changes his ways, because you're right. I mean, the insults are just unnecessary.
Yeah, gentlemen, we got to leave it there. So,
Okay.
of course, with this, there's always room to come back next week and have something to talk about.
With Donald
we'll come
Trump,
back
you
and
can guarantee it.
we can break that down
Okay.
next week when we return. JC Lee, thanks much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right,
for being
listen. In other Bronx news, the Bronx Museum highlighted their latest exhibition entitled Love Thy Neighbor, capturing immigration awareness. Mandy Reyes has our story.